This is the Oakwyn Podcast, featuring Morgan Brown and Michael Yu.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Oakwyn Podcast. I am Morgan Brown.
Michael Yu.
And I'm the Podfather.
And we, do they see you when, I want them to see the Podfather.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh yeah, he's got a camera on him.
Okay, good. I'm like, I want the real Podfather.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're up to 2 views on YouTube right now. Yeah, nailed it.
Winning. Well, we're so excited to be here today, and it is a very cloudy but nice day today.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you like the rain?
I don't like talking about the weather, actually.
Oh, you don't? Do you get awkward?
It's the worst form of small talk.
I feel it's the lowest form of small talk.
It's awful. Honestly,
It
my
is,
husband talks about the weather. I'm not joking you. And he knows it bugs me. He'll be like, he'll be like, it's raining tomorrow. It's just I'm like, stop talking about the weather.
They
Stop
have a whole
it.
channel for it, and you have no control over it. And I think it's I think it's the lowest form of, and it's like people that listen to traffic, on the radio,
on the 101.
Yeah, like people that just listen to the traffic station the whole 3-hour car ride. I'm like, why?
You get everything you need in 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
The rest is garbage.
Do you listen to the news though?
I try, I try to actually stay away from the news.
Okay.
I try to just,
You A-line out.
yeah, I feel like there's just so much propaganda and stuff like that nowadays, and it's so one-sided, and it's not really I don't think there's as much journalistic integrity as there used to be, potentially. They're not very balanced in their opinion. They're very, I think CBC and BBC do a fairly
amazing.
good job to show both sides, but I still feel like,
Sometimes
some propaganda.
I think sometimes you kind of need to watch one night of the local news to just I don't watch it every night, but maybe once every month. And I'm like, okay, I just want to see what the tone is. And I find that they're just it's full COVID. It's all COVID.
You would be a good anchor. You would be a
My
good
dad always
news
just told
anchor.
me that. He always wanted me to be a journalist.
Really?
He always
Is it because you snoop around and you
No, I think he thinks that, but I think I'd be too, I'm too high strung and I wouldn't follow the reading. I'm an improver.
Okay.
I'm an improv person.
Yeah, and
Right.
you get all sad.
I get all sad and sad. So I'm whoa. Oh, someone died today.
I'm taking back my my recommendation of you being a journalist and a news anchor, actually.
We can both do. This is a new form. Podcasting is a new form of news.
Oh, yeah?
Don't you think? It's but it's more personal development.
So if you were a news reporter, who would be your avatar? Who would be kind of or an anchor or an interviewer? Who would be your avatar?
I love Oprah. I mean, Oprah
yeah,
is solid because she really did you watch Meghan and Harry? I know everybody that's listening probably saw some of it.
I've watched it in clips. I haven't been able to find a full
thing.
Yeah, the full thing. And I even feel like that is propaganda, but
It probably is.
I wear tinfoil hats, so
I feel like it was a big Oprah is a very good interviewer because she goes even deeper, what people really want to hear. And she'll keep on.
She's excellent.
She doesn't stop.
Mm-hmm.
She'll just say it in 4 different ways.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, you just said that. You asked the exact same thing 4 times, but didn't sound like it. Who would be yours?
I feel like Oprah has this kind of, even though I don't think, does Oprah have kids?
No.
Does she have kids?
No. Oprah has
But
no
she
kids.
has this
And Stedman.
maternal, she has this kind of
she's a mom.
maternal.
We're all her kids.
Yeah, exactly.
She should
She's
be the
the
president of
world,
the United
mother,
She will be.
the world's mother. It's weird, but
Well, her whole backstory is that she has always wanted to be a teacher.
okay.
She's that's what her passion and love is teaching.
Really?
So I think it just is all encompassing, right? A very motherly teaching way, right? So she really goes into different segments, and she's kind of a mother. She has a whole school in Africa that she funds, and she calls them her daughters. It's all Black women. Amazing.
She's an amazing person.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think who would be my news anchor?
Ron.
What's that guy's name?
Ron.
Ron Burgundy?
Ron Burgundy. You were gonna say Ron Jeremy. What have you been watching? You haven't been watching the news.
What?
But you'll take it, right?
I would be Ron Jeremy. I'm like getting his body right now. Everything except
Burgundy.
No, I'm just kidding.
Burgundy. I'm Ron Burgundy.
Yeah.
Welcome to the city.
Yeah.
So funny.
Yeah, I actually really like that movie, Anchorman.
So
yeah,
good.
It's so slapstick. I think even though like Will Ferrell is such a like kind of like a huge megastar now, I still find him like hilarious.
Oh God, he's like
Yeah.
he's like I think he's like one of the best comedian actors of our time.
Yeah, he's iconic. Yeah.
Oh, who else is really funny? There's like a bunch of all those SNL guys are just killing it all the time.
Yeah.
What
It's
was
like
that other
it's like a
guy?
mill for just like for
Celebrity.
the next comedic superstar. Yeah.
Yeah.
Eddie Murphy is just one of my like favorites. Have you ever listened to his Delirious stand-up comedy?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
It is.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
so funny.
It's
and
hilarious.
it's so far beyond its time if you think about it.
Yeah.
All the stuff that he was talking about.
Right.
He's just like but he's making a comeback.
Is he?
Yeah, he's like coming back.
Well,
He's
they had that Coming to America too.
Yeah.
Did you see
Yeah,
that?
Coming to America.
Oh, Coming to America. Oh, okay.
Clever.
So it's not Coming to America too. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Very clever.
I actually cannot remember. I remember watching it. I don't really remember the first one.
You don't
Do
remember Coming to America?
Remember
I
it.
know it.
I should watch it this
verbatim.
week.
Yeah, it's a great movie. It's like I haven't watched Coming to America, the sequel that's currently playing, but
He's a
I
pretty
haven't
cool
heard good
guy.
things.
Oh, really?
Well, I don't know. Like it's just I feel like everything's being rehashed. Like there's no new ideas.
I know. That's how I
Yeah.
feel.
Like everything's like a
Like
sequel.
Aladdin.
Yeah, everything's like it was a cartoon. Now it's a live action film.
Yeah.
Okay, it's Star Wars again. It's just like
I know.
there's nothing original nowadays.
I know. And that's why it seems from what I'm seeing is a lot of like the foreign films are the ones getting noticed because they have all the other ideas. They're not just reusing
Yeah.
a lot of like the preamp, what's it called?
Like,
Cartoons.
yeah, it's just this weird, like, I think people have this weird nostalgia, and then they basically just attach themselves to their childhood memories and then they want to watch it as I don't know, it's weird, but
I did watch Aladdin with Will Smith.
yeah,
10 out of 10.
Really?
you thought so?
I rewatched it. The there's a part of the movie. I'm a big Aladdin fan. I
Okay, yeah.
really love Aladdin.
Right.
Nostalgia. Like I watched it probably as a child 25 times.
Okay.
And I just love the music and I love
Yeah.
the everything. But there's a part of Will Smith I watched. I love how I call it the Will Smith movie, Aladdin. But basically, is when he gets introduced and he's like Prince Ali, Dad, and he comes
Yeah.
onto an elephant. I watched that like 3 times after because I just thought it was so
It
beautiful.
was really it was like
Yeah.
a really well, it was just a spectacle.
yes,
Right? I think that's kind of cool. So if Robin Williams was a 10 out of 10 as the genie, what would Will Smith be?
He was like a good 9.
Did you watch it, Brayden?
I haven't seen the new one.
Okay. It's hard to live up to Robin Williams.
Yeah.
though.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that probably was, I don't know if it was his best role, like his
Doubtfire?
Mrs. Doubtfire is
Oh
awesome. I
my
love Mrs.
God.
Doubtfire.
So many good
Yeah,
ones.
so many
Yeah.
good movies.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
miss him. He was incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, he just gave us so many gifts, right? It's just
Mhm.
like and like movies that you can watch over and over and over again.
Yeah.
But don't you find that people that obviously we know what happened to Robin Williams.
Mhm.
Do you think that people that are so comedically gifted have to have the opposite side of the coin, like a super dark side?
Yeah. I think
kind
so.
of. Yeah.
They all do.
Who
right?
doesn't? Yeah. They're
Yeah.
every single iconic.
So I think
comedian.
if you have you see these like mega talents and you're like,
Yes.
and everyone's envious of them, but then actually I'm not envious of them
Me
because
neither.
to get to that level of like,
You have to be so deep. And
Yeah.
actually, I was listening to Dax Shepard, armchair expert, and he was
Okay.
interviewing Amy Poehler, and she's
Oh yeah, that
amazing.
was a good one. Yeah.
And she's amazing. But she said something which I thought was really interesting, which I thought was very interesting, is basically they want to they almost make false truths in their head to be an outsider, because they want to go so deep that
okay,
they almost
so they punish themselves.
they punish themselves. So for instance, she's like, yeah, her mom heard her say something about her being like a welfare kid or something like that on a thing. And she was like, no, Amy, we lived in a very nice picket fence. And she was like, oh, really? I don't know how I didn't think that, but they almost like put down pain
Yeah.
to become to push themselves away, to be outsiders, to be creatively sound, right? So I thought that was really interesting because my sister's an artist.
Yeah.
I don't really speak to her, but basically she did the same kind of
Let's
thing.
get
like,
into that. The Morgan
She's-
Brown family drama
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
episode
My
of the Oakwyn
friends-
podcast.
My best friends who listen to this podcast every single episode, I will
Wow.
say thank you, K and A. And they know, and they're like, they listen to every episode that we have, which is really cool. And they'll know what I'm saying. But like,
I
basically,
haven't seen their reviews.
yeah, KC AF, come on, give us a review.
Yeah.
Kidding.
Yeah,
Every
but
review
it's good.
helps.
Those are my sisters.
Like,
But
rate,
anyways,
review,
she
subscribe.
like that's what happens. You create this whole mind. So I think you're right. I think that's what happens.
Well, there's this
to him.
trope of the tortured artist, right?
Yes.
And like, I feel like every stereotype is true. So that's how I go by
So
life.
what's your
actually.
stereotype, Mike?
I'm a cheap Asian guy.
As I take a sip, don't blow this out of my mouth.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty.
You
pretty-
are.
Yeah.
You are.
Yeah. I don't know where we go from here, but we were going to talk about actually because obviously market is so busy.
So busy.
It's like it's been crazy, and obviously a lot of agents haven't been able to like turn off or blow some steam off. So we actually, because obviously we can't take vacations, a lot of like, you're a big
know.
traveler, Morgan.
I'm a huge traveler.
Yeah.
It's so depressing.
Brayden, you like traveling?
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
When-
probably my happiest time.
Really?
Like I kind of was telling Mike this the other
second
day
happiest time to
with my kids. Yeah.
Oh, I mean,
Yeah.
to,
Podcasting.
Oh, yeah. That's your
You really
Ah,
had
true
to.
joy,
that's
guys.
That's your happy place. But besides that, traveling, go on. And your
Traveling,
family
like
time.
just shutting off, right? But you can't, like, I don't know, like, do you guys think that it's going to open up soon so you can do those like big travels, like going to Portugal and go to Spain? Because
Yeah.
I did watch the news the
It's
other day.
Portugal.
Portugal. And
on,
I thought it was so Filipino there. I was like, Portugal. And they said that because now they have this passport in Israel that you have to show you taking your shot. Like you can't get on a plane and you can't get on it to get into any thing. And they're now talking about it for Canada.
Well, that's pretty like, if you travel, like if you go to a lot of places, you need to have like, yellow fever shots
Yes.
and all these
Yeah.
other things. I think
Yes.
so it's kind of normal.
It's kind of
Yeah,
normal.
yeah, so,
but
you
they
know.
have to show it. It's like on their passport.
Oh, it's on the
a digital
okay.
passport.
Okay.
Our government just said, the BC government just said, like yesterday, 2 days ago, that
Yeah.
there's going to be certain things that are going to be available to people that only have
The shots.
vaccination.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's what they say.
Right.
Which is kind of like crazy because they said by November they're going to have 70% of all Canadians will be vaccinated.
Wow. Cool.
By November.
Cool.
I think as to come back to what we were talking about, as a like a busy agent, I think that sometimes the only time you can have off is when you go on vacation.
Yes.
And the fact that for the past year or more we haven't been able to go on vacation, I think a lot of agents are like their fuse is getting pretty.
You go like you went camping a lot.
Yeah, I
which
did-
was like a shut
yeah.
off for you. You
Yeah.
really shut off.
Right. Yeah.
And-
I've actually discovered the love of nature, which is strange.
But you love like I think that is that what do they say? They say that you should find a non-temporary, like you could have to, like I'm saying travel is a big thing.
Right.
How can you make it part of your daily, right?
Yeah. So
I don't
we were
think that is
talking-
like, I don't think that's even possible.
Well, you can. I think you can make it like you can do a respite every, like a recess or whatever every day or something like that.
You think that actually rests you?
No. I think
Like,
I do
what?
think you need some I think you need a solid box. So we actually were talking about it. So, my team, Bridget Wong, who doesn't listen to the podcast, so I can talk
We'll
about
find
it.
out.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
She's taking
Bridgie.
she's taking a 3-day kind of 3 personal days off in a row
Mm-hmm.
away from her phone. She's call forwarded all her calls to me. So, but yeah,
How's that going?
People are very disappointed here when I pick up like, hello, Michael. It's like, oh, we wanted Bridget. Like, yeah, you got me instead.
Yeah.
So like
Same with mine. My Stella, I was like, you've had such a big 2 months of just like working through it. Go and take a day. And you kind of need to like let them like turn off your phone and get away.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Just to take the just to take the pressure off. I feel.
But same with Desiree, who's on my team.
Yep.
One of my partners, and she is and she's doing like lately Friday up in Whistler.
Oh,
and
really?
So she just skis.
Nice.
And because she's a snowboarder, and she's like comes back a totally different person. It's like I'm like, oh, I'm like, keep on, and I'm saying go, like, because that allows her to have a great weekend of her just like powering.
Have you taken
through.
any personal days?
I have. I've been going to the island a lot because I'm, as everyone knows, I'm really wanting a cabin, and so I've been doing some major R&D. And I even just went this week with Sean. We went for like 4 hours. We just went during the day to go look at some places. So that's kind of cool. So, but as soon as I just
how remote do you want this cabin? Do you want it like out in the middle of like the bush, like where you're just totally like lumberjacking it, or do you want like?
I want to be like 20 minutes away from like a 20 to 30 minutes away from a grocery store in the hospital. Like when you have kids, you don't want to be like too remote because if something happens,
it's not like Little House on the Prairie.
Because if something happens, like you're not a doctor, like something can really bad happen to your child. So you just want to be able to get there at least in a due time. But for me, it's just more like, it's about putting those boundaries up. As soon as you get off the ferry, your phone's off. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, that's it. And for me, now we're looking at it like I want to be able to give it to like my family and friends. Like if you and Pri want to go up, or if Arlene and the kids want to go up, I want to give that to everybody to just shut down and not have to like
an oasis.
Yeah, an oasis. But I also want to have it year round.
Okay.
So if you do it like if you decide to have something on like I don't know, Savory Island, that's a long time to get there. It's like a half day to travel there. I want to be able to go on the weekends, go for Christmas, go for Thanksgiving, go for like the times that you really need to shut down.
Yeah.
That's what I need,
You like
guys.
Savory Island?
I love
Or do you
Savory.
just like the name?
No, Savory Island is Savory Island.
Oh, really?
It's all the
it's
tech.
really-
Is it as advertised?
It's not as good as Sweet Island, but
Yeah, Savory. Yeah. This is how much you know him. I just ignore him now. I'm like, just don't get
you
that
like
pun.
the flavor of Savory
he
Island?
was setting you up. Come on.
Texida, like those Texida Islands, it's all glacier packed. So that's why there's so much beautiful sand there, right?
Okay.
It's stunning. It's like only white
I
beaches.
don't know how the geology works.
I only know this because
Can you
I do have
educate us,
I've had a geotech with us up there a lot because we've been looking on the coast.
Yeah.
And he's been telling us, I'm like, oh, is it eroding on these small islands? He's like, no. When the glaciers hit, it compounded the sand. And that's why there's only like those 3 or 4 islands like Hormady, Texida, and Savory have those white sands. And it's not really eroding very quickly. But if you go up to like the hard surface of Sunshine Coast or, a little bit like Gambier, the Gulf Islands, or sorry, not the Gulf water is just like, it's hitting the coast so hard. So that's going to erode a lot faster. So those spots are really great, but they have like no energy. You have to get there for like a half a day. You have to have a boat.
Yeah, water taxi.
It's
What's
just so far.
What's a water taxi for?
It's like a taxi on the water.
Just like a boat for people that don't have a boat.
Yeah.
Oh, really? So
Yeah.
it's and there's a guy that drives you around like
And
a
they're
taxi.
timed. It's like a little mini
Is
ferry.
he like not from here? And
No, it's like a mini ferry. It's like a mini ferry.
He
You
just
should go
goes
to
from
Savory.
Lund
You should go to Savory.
back.
Savory is stunning. It's like one of those ones. Where
I
like,
only know them.
whoa.
I only
Yeah.
know Savory Island because there's a Savory Island pie, right?
Yes, in
Yeah.
West Van.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that I know about Savory Island.
It's like there's a front and a back row, and their houses are stunning.
Oh,
Like,
really?
It's where all the rich people.
Yeah,
go.
I'm more of a mountain guy.
You are
I'm
like a
not-
Pemberton.
Yeah, I'm more of a mountain
Whistler.
dude instead of an island person. So, yeah, but
I'm like an arbutus tree rock water type person. Like I'm okay to be tucked away, but have like the surroundings still feel green
Yeah.
and brown.
so Morgan's choosing her recreation
Yes.
property, but how about when you want to choose your brokerage?
That was like the longest
was
segue.
That is a terrible segue, but we were running long on the intro, so
We're leaving it.
So it's a winner. So up next, how to choose your brokerage. Thank you for listening to the Oakwyn podcast. If you're an agent out there and you're curious about Oakwyn, please go to our website at www.oakwyn.com/join and type into the message box pod 2021. And Morgan, what do they get when they do that?
They get some mystery swag.
Wow.
And actually, the swag is amazing.
Yeah, we just came up with some really cool notebooks and stuff like that will
Totes,
organize your life, and totes and cool stuff like that. So if you're interested, go to our website and type in the message box pod 2021 and you'll get a free piece of mystery swag.
Mystery swag.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
And welcome back to the Oakwyn podcast. Thanks so much for listening, everyone. So we're going to be talking a little bit about how to choose a brokerage today. Mike,
Morgan is multitasking. It's annoying me.
he's so ADHD, guys. He gets
I
distracted
can't
so
do more than one
fast.
thing at the same time. I can't, like, you have your laptop open, things are
I'm
blinking, your
reading.
phone is right there. How do you even focus?
Everything's blinking.
Everything's blinking. I am
going
like
on.
getting distracted.
He heard one text message go through the thing and
Yeah.
he gets bothered by it.
I
That's how
do.
he does. Okay, how do we choose a brokerage? So the first question is, first of all, Mike, how many brokerages have you been to?
How many? Okay, so I've been to 3 brokerages.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so on your first brokerage ever, what was something, do you think that you know?
I made some mistakes. So
Okay.
my first brokerage that I joined, I didn't interview anywhere. I just joined the first brokerage I went to.
Wow.
So yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
What about the second one?
The second one, I did the research.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I did the research. I went to the top, like, kind of selling brokerage per realtor in Vancouver at the time. And then
And now you are at Oakwyn.
now we're at Oakwyn.
So I think what we do a lot of interviews with a lot of our agents and people that are coming from other brokerages
Yeah.
specifically, or new agents. And we found that there are definitely a couple things that people should be considering when finding a brokerage.
Yeah, I think, your choice of a lot of people, are like, oh, it doesn't really matter. The brokerage doesn't do anything for you. And like, that's kind of the sentiment we got, like we had when we first got started into the business. A lot of agents were talking like this. And, a big reason why we started the company was to change that whole paradigm, to offer better services
Right.
to the agents, and so they could actually feel a difference by being part of the company. And so, so it's been a lot of fun on this journey that we've been on to kind of change the brokerage landscape.
So let's give some tips
Sure.
on what they should be looking for in a brokerage.
Yeah, absolutely.
So number one, you need to evaluate culture and community.
Yeah. So,
Right?
Yes, absolutely. So, I feel that it's, human beings, specifically, you're getting started, or, we're influenced by our surroundings, our environment, and our environment are the people and the people that are around us. We can't help but, they say in a lot of like kind of success books and stuff like that, you're the average of the people you spend your time with.
The 5 people.
Yeah, the 5 people or
Yes.
the 10 people you spend your time with. So it's really important that you choose very wisely and evaluate, the community that you're going to be in play, like that you're going to be surrounded with.
I think for me, it's more like aligning with people that have the same goals and like mindset
Yeah.
than anything. So if I were to go to a brokerage and I went into one that was a little bit more highly, and there's nothing wrong with, first of all, let's just disclaimer here. You will feel what's best for you as a brokerage. There's
Yeah.
not one thing better than the other. But there's some brokerages that are highly competitive, very very old school in that sense. Then there's some brokerages that have kind of, all for one, by themselves, like you're kind of a sole proprietor
Right.
and you just kind of fly at the seat of the pants. And then there's other brokerages that are really heavy in culture and community, about bringing people together and aligning people that have the same kind of values, right?
Right.
So I think that is the biggest thing when you're looking at a brokerage, is finding a brokerage that can align with you, but not only with your own professionally, but personally,
Yeah.
right?
I think this goes and really, like you were saying, like having that right feeling. I think the culture of a company is so important. We're I
We're
feel
culture heavy.
yeah,
though.
we're very culture heavy at
Yes.
Oakwyn. I think, we spend a lot of time thinking about our customers and their experience and how we can better that experience, and also like what our culture is within the staff and our agent culture as well. I think that that's something we talk about all the time.
Well, I was just going to say that we're kind of like took over almost like a Howard Schultz way of, when we're dealing with meetings and everything, they have like a separate, like an empty chair for the customer, right? And we are like that. We think about the customer this morning. We're talking about, is this going to be the best for our realtors,
Yeah,
right?
we think about the agents all the
So
time.
I think that's a big thing for us at Oakwyn. But I do believe that you will find your right fit, and finding a community and culture and digging, really asking questions
Yeah.
to that brokerage. Like, what are you guys doing for community and culture? What type of programs do you have? Where do you see this? Do you guys have core values? Do you have a mission?
Yeah.
Those questions,
Right. And what are their long-term goals, and making
Goals.
sure that they align with yours.
Exactly.
And I think that that's really key.
And the
So,
second one would be reputation and niche.
yeah, so you want to kind of get some research and understand the reputation of the company that you're going to be a part of. I think that it's reflective. As an agent, you are promoting yourself for the most part, but your brokerage is really reflective of how you're going to operate your business as well. So if you don't have that alignment, and that if your brokerage doesn't have that great reputation and is not really out there, it could potentially cause a obstacle or a stumbling block between you and being able to list that property or something like that.
I will say that this is just like something off the cusp. But when we first started, we didn't have a great, we didn't have a
We didn't
reputation.
have a reputation, period, because we were brand new.
And so what we found was and this is part of the reason why we've scaled up and we've built these offices and have more agents, is because we realized that it was actually going to be a benefit
Yes.
to our realtors.
Well,
Right?
our intention, our original intention wasn't to grow to
was
the
like small.
to the size we are, but then what we were finding is that we became friends with our agents, right? So we became friends with our agents, and then they would come back to the office and be like, "I lost this listing because they never heard of our brokerage."
And then we were like,
And we're
okay,
like-
well, we'll have to change that and be the number one brokerage in our city.
Yeah. And they were like our friends,
Yeah.
right? And like, you
It
want to help
hurt.
your friends. It really hurt actually to
us.
hear that
I
they're like,
know.
and like, oh, we're going to stick here because we like you guys. But I'm like, okay, I'm hurting my friends, but not
Yes.
kind of like building the company in a sense. So like that was a big part of it too.
Reputation was a big
reputation. I
thing.
think is more important for listings
Way
than
more
it is for, I think for buyer, if you just want to be a buyer's agent, it might be okay to kind of be, it just depends. But, I feel like for listings specifically, they are going to ask you which brokerage you with, what are the numbers of your brokerage and all that kind of stuff.
And I think that reputation also stands throughout the whole, like you as a professional. So for
Yeah.
instance, if Oakwyn has, or Remax or C21 has a reputation, and they're looking on social media and they're looking at the brand and
Yeah.
what's coming off on that speaks to what you are as an
Right.
agent. So if you're going to go for like more of a, a mummy pop kind of smaller,
Sure.
that might fit you. That might fit you
Right.
perfectly. But if you feel like you want to be in kind of more of a young, kind of sophisticated group, or if you want it to be just in an international group, there's so many different
Yeah.
reputations.
And we're not saying we're the best for every
No.
agent, and we're
He's
not
saying that, guys. I'm just joking.
but then, and the second part of that is the niche, right? So
yes.
you want to make sure that the brokerage serves the niche that you want to go after. So if you're a higher end niche, or if you're then you want to have a higher end brand that you're associated with. If you're more of an urban niche, then you want to have that as well. And
if you're a general,
Yeah.
which is kind of us, I would say the general being able to go from low end, which is 500,000 people, to 22 million. There's that niche as well. There's a general, more of a general basket, right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I think, you got to make sure that company, just really reflects how you do your business. So if you are the owner of a brokerage, would you do the business the same way?
Yes.
And that's a big thing.
Okay. The next one would be franchise or independent.
Yeah.
Let's dive into that.
Sure.
So what do you mean by that? Because I think
Okay.
a lot of agents and a lot of realtors always ask us, like, is this corporately owned? Is it franchised?
Yeah.
Are you guys an independent? They always ask that.
Right.
Why do you think they ask that?
So yeah, there's obviously franchise companies, a big franchise real estate companies who do really well in our market, and then there's the independents, locally owned companies as well, and kind of there's just a difference. Obviously, With the franchise, there might be more of a consistency approach. It might be a little bit longer, long standing.
Yes.
For example, like Sotheby's has been around for 100+ years, and that's a
Remax,
franchise. Remax has
exactly.
been around for long time. And so, there's that element. So there's that consistency element. But then there's the independent, which is a bit more
Local.
it's local, and it's a bit more it's a bit more moldable, and it's a bit more pliable. So as well. And so it just depends, and to each their own, right?
Yes. I think corporately owned as opposed to franchise. I think the great thing about the good thing about a franchise is you're right. It's that length, it's that breadth. It's been in the market for a long time.
Yeah,
The
and
reputation's
consistency
bigger,
too.
consistency.
Yeah.
And then one with the independent, it's a little bit, you're right, more moldable. I always say like there's chefs kind of walking around,
Yeah.
like listening to everyone and changing things because of it. And that is sometimes a nice thing so that you can voice your opinion, be a part of that growth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're probably gonna be more open to listening and stuff like that, obviously, because they have more control of the brand and where the direction of the company is going. So, like, we take feedback very seriously from our agents.
We took it way, like, I feel like we because a lot of them are our friends.
Yeah,
We were like we talked about how we were sad about it. We took it very like
yeah, we
personal
took it very personally.
for the very beginning of our company. And then
Right.
we started to realize, okay, we have to, let these things
We can't be as reactive.
reactive.
We got to be more proactive. So, like, and that's
Yes.
something that we've learned in
Over
the course
time.
of- yeah, how long has it been? Like 7, 8 years
8
now?
years.
8 years. Jeez.
Well, we got to think Luke, right? Lucas.
yeah.
He's turning 8.
So my sister, our other partner, Arlene, her son's Luke was like basically born when the company was born.
Yeah. So now we just figure out what
Yeah.
his age is.
Yeah, and then
Let me know.
Yeah, so we know how old the company is.
Yeah. Okay. The last one, the next one.
So we're still playing Lego at our
We're playing
company.
Lego.
Yeah.
Oh, we have so many funny moments with that. So another thing that you should be considering when finding a brokerage is, so we've talked about evaluating the culture and community. We've talked about reputation and niche. What type of brokerage is it? We've talked about franchise and independent, but a big one
Yes.
is support and training.
Right.
Huge. And
Absolutely.
I find that a lot of realtors, first of all, like support and training is not just for new agents. I just want to hit that off. It's for people that are still just wanting to pursue growth and learning, which is a big, big part of it. So you should be asking those core questions. Not only what am I going to be able to learn and grow from, like in the very beginning of my career, but what is the long-term programs and training that you have in place for agents?
Yeah. So specifically I think for both new and experienced agents, I think it's crucial to kind of continue that, having that growth and learning mindset. So you want to understand the programs that the brokerage has, like what regular programs are, frequency of meetings, frequency of education, how is it delivered?
Yeah.
And trying to understand some of the specifics around that as well. If they offer coaching and mentorship, what does that look like? And trying to weigh which is going to be the best option for you.
Yeah, I think so too. Programs are very important. That's really a big part of why we started the company, is that we found that a lot of brokerages like stopped.
Yeah.
And so it was very important that growth was constant.
Yeah, well, I felt that
Yeah.
I was part of a big franchise previously, and I felt that the training wasn't relevant to Vancouver, the Vancouver market.
The Canadian-
I just thought
the
it was
Canadian
just like,
market,
what?
yeah.
This isn't gonna work here. So
Yeah.
and but then everyone's a little bit different, right? So and so yeah,
It's
so
about how you learn as well,
Yeah.
right? So that's one thing that I will say about like what programs do they have in place? Is it easy? Is it accessible for training? That's a big part of it, because a lot of the questions are like, oh, what type of training do you have? And then they get into it and then they realize, oh, it's only every Monday, or it doesn't happen unless you're in person. And now things are going a little bit more, so it's more accessible. So definitely ask that question when you're speaking to a brokerage. What are the training programs? What is the support that is going to be had by your managing brokers? But also your how easy
Yeah, I
is it
think-
for me to get to?
I think you mentioned something really crucial. So managing broker. So the managing broker,
Yes.
you got to, this is your like managing broker to an agent is like such an important and key figure for your career, and it's going to make or break a lot of different situations. They're going to keep you out of trouble, but they're going to also give you a lot of great quality advice and
Think
help
of them
you.
as like Joan of Art.
What?
That's what I think of like when I see a managing broker.
Joan of Arc?
Arc.
Oh, okay, like the French.
Like the guy that was crossing the water with all the animals on the boat. Isn't that what
That's
it is?
Noah.
That's Noah.
Oh,
Joan's distant cousin.
Yeah.
okay, Noah.
Yeah.
Noah of what?
It's just Noah.
It's Noah's Ark.
It's Noah's
That's
Ark.
Noah's Ark.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, people.
Yeah.
There's
gonna
a
save
baby
you.
in me, and she's taking over my life. But yeah, like I think of that picture of like a managing broker. Like that's who I
So like
resemble.
Noah.
Noah.
And then you're one of the
I'm the
animals.
I'm the elephant. Obviously, with my brain right now, I'm the elephant. But no, I will say that they're the ones guiding you. They're the ones like making things happen for you, and you're able to go and seek them, and that's like a huge part of I think a brokerage.
Yeah, I think, and they're your guardian. They're they're gonna kind of guide you, and they're it's really important that you have a good managing broker and you have a great relationship with them, and they're gonna be available to you. And
big thing.
yeah, a lot of agents that I've heard from, they're like, I have a hard time getting hold of this
Oh.
managing broker, and that's something that we are not cool with it at Oakwyn.
No,
but
there's a number 2 an agent
Yeah.
at our brokerage, but other people there isn't. So maybe ask that. Ask when you're talking to
ask
a
what
brokerage.
the support team
What's
is
the
for managing
support? How
broker,
many
'cause it's
agents
huge.
per?
Liability is so crazy now. Like,
Oh my gosh.
you like penalties are like $250,000, $500,000 in some cases if you don't do
Crazy.
your contracts right, you don't do something right. So
And
you
the
need support.
The next one is, which is the biggest one for most people, is fees.
Yes.
Which I feel like is that like a big. I never really, when I looked for a brokerage,
Yeah.
I wasn't super conscious. Like I was more focused on like the culture or community. But I think the
Yeah.
fees are a big
You're like
deal.
a revenue person though.
I am.
Yeah, Morgan's like a revenue
Yeah.
person. So she's like, oh, okay, like this
I'll
is
be
gonna
fine.
help me to get
X amount.
to where I want to go faster. I'm willing to invest in it.
Yeah.
And fees are an investment of for your education. So it's like from a brokerage perspective. So you got to make sure you can afford it,
Mhm.
obviously. So for new agents, I always suggest having 6 months of living expenses saved
Yes.
at a minimum, and 6 months. I would say 6 months saved, and then another 6 months in like a line of credit or an
About a
operating line.
year.
Yeah, about a year, just to be like really safe in that sense, or having really great support, like a supportive partner or something like that
Mhm, mhm.
that you can go through a lean starting case. So if you can't afford it, don't join that brokerage, because you're behind the 8 ball right away,
Yeah.
right? So like there are lots of lower fee brokerages that you could opt for and just try it out for a while to give it a shot.
Yeah.
And
See if you can
yeah.
make it and get past that kind of that line
Yeah.
of doing your deals.
Right.
But no, I think so. I think fees is always a question, and there's 3 different types of fee structures out there. So
Yeah.
one is a full, boat, which is basically 100% house.
Yeah, so that's a monthly fee. So it's a monthly fee and then a certain smaller transactional fee.
And then the second is the commission.
The commission split, so it's a certain percentage of your gross take home.
And then there's a mix.
Yeah, and then there's a hybrid.
Yeah, which is nice between the two. And I think you just have to outweigh what you think you're going to be doing and set your goals. And those are kind of the main things that you have to evaluate. Now, what are some major tips on trying to find a brokerage?
Yeah, so I always suggest agents to interview 2 to 3 brokerages if they're thinking of either making a change or they're thinking about joining the industry. So you
Mhm.
want to interview 2 or 3, maybe 4 brokerages, just to get a sense of where you're going to fit the best.
Yeah, my tips are definitely about speaking to people that are in the industry that
Oh,
are at
yeah.
our brokerages. So
Right.
go
Word
and
of mouth.
call somebody that you admire in the industry, that you've seen do some great work, and say, how is your brokerage? What do you like about it? What do you not like about it? And so really hearing from the horse's mouth.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's kind of funny? Like I've heard a lot of agents from other brokerages recommending us. Like
Yeah, I know. It's weird.
Yeah.
I'm like, why? Like, what?
Then why are they there?
Yeah, why are they the other
but I
one?
think-
That's why I'm like, I don't know.
But no, I know why. I think it's because, again, it comes back down to reputation, right?
Yeah.
Where they think that person would fit best
Right.
into that group. And I'm so thankful for it because we've gotten some incredible talent.
Yeah, we have
because of it.
we have an agent that he recommended his wife to join our brokerage, but he's with another brokerage. And I'm like, that's your wife. Like
I know. And I think that in due time that will change for sure.
Yeah, she's
but
doing great.
She's like killing it. But I will say that's always good to get a recommendation from people that are in the industry. And then third is do a deep dive of their like social media, do a deep dive of their websites, see what contents they're coming out with.
I think like there's this idea of alignment. So like, you know, if you'd be proud of their social media, their marketing, if that's something that you would do, then there's that alignment.
Yeah. And I think the last tip I would say is you have to look at the brand. Like you have to look at, does this look good with my marketing material?
Yeah. Does it fit?
Because I think, we have an agent at our office that does a lot with the Canucks, and they were actually highlighted in the Vancouver Sun for a massive sale that just happened. I think 10 million or 9.6
nice
or something.
Yeah.
And it's so great. And I think that, what's cool about Oakwyn, and I always say this is why we did the brand like this, is we wanted people to be able to go from a pre-sale space to when you're doing like a big project to a $120,000 Whistler place that Mike just sold with my team,
Right.
to all the way up to a 10 to 20, $30 million property.
Yeah,
it was very important for us to do that, right? To have a big, because we don't want to miss business for the realtor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. So having some of that flexibility.
So finding the brand that's going to work with you and not just pigeonhole you into a space that you don't want to go into. Right.
Right.
That's me just really pushing the brand of Oakwyn.
But even if you're from another brokerage and you're listening to the podcast, like interview everybody. And
there's so many great brokerages.
Yeah, there's so many great brokerages.
Fantastic brokerages.
And, like I learned a lot from having conversations with other brokerages, and we're an open book at Oakwyn. Like we're totally transparent. Like we show you everyone what we do, and we just hope to just improve the industry, right?
And
help to change and improve the industry.
So let's go back and do our
key takeaways. Okay.
So key takeaway number 1 is evaluate culture and community.
Key takeaway number 2,
reputation.
I can't even read my own writing.
Okay, I'm going to say them all. Okay, so I'm going to say them all. So 1 is evaluate culture and community. 2 is reputation and niche. 3 is it a franchise or an independent, local, 4 is support and training. And number 5 is your fees structure that they are putting for you in your business. Tips are just for extra tips is find a brokerage that other people have recommended to you, which is a big one. Interview 2 to 4 brokerages. And 3 is the brand, something that you can grow with.
Awesome. And on that note, guys, thank you so much for listening to the Oakwyn podcast. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please rate it 5 out of 5 on whichever podcast platform you're listening to it on. And obviously like and subscribe. And also go to our website if you're interested in Oakwyn, oakwyn.com/join in the message box pod 2021, and you get a free piece of mystery swag.
Thanks,
guys. See you later.